And welcome back to the Journey to the FarLands. Okay, checking everything real quick. I've got a couple of beds and a couple of boats, so we'll just go ahead and bust out of here. Make sure there's no unpleasantries about. And get on our way. All right, let's start out with the world size report as usual. Windows reports the Journey to the FarLands save folder at 311 megabytes. And Minecraft is reporting the world save at 309.08 megabytes. So it's starting to get respectable. As a matter of fact, I believe that actually makes this world larger than my single-player main world. So it's definitely getting up there in size. I have to say that, just as a bit of fair warning, that I've been doing a lot of coughing today, and it has been very aggravating because it's actually been making it very difficult to get anything recorded because it's been hard to stop coughing long enough to do so. And so I decided that I was going to go ahead and get this recorded anyway because I did not want to miss another day with it. And what I'm just going to do is that if coughing gets to be a problem while I'm recording, I will probably just mute the audio for that part of it. And so if there is all of a sudden a very, very quiet part with no audio, that will be the reason. So, here we go, proceeding onwards towards the FarLands. And so, oh, how about that? Little floating tower. Anyway, let's see. I did get an anonymous question from Formspring in which someone asks, and I quote, "Why you no use K-words in KSP vids?" And okay, in Kerbal Space Program, there seems to be a trend on the part of a lot of people to use what is referred to as K-words, which basically means to take regular words and change them in such a way that they begin with the letter K. Because this apparently, in the minds of some people at least, has some significance to Kerbin. You know, I remember in early Kerbal Space Program videos before 0.013, when the planet had a name of Kerbin, people had a tendency to refer to the planet as Kurth instead of Earth. And you know how all the Kerbals have the name Kerbin as their last name, and in other cases, astronomical terms or orbital terms, whatever you want to call it, that, you know, such as, like, for example, apogee and perigee. A lot of people have taken to calling it apokee and perikey, and while that may in some ways be technically correct, I personally don't care for it. And then there's another example is you take another term, like, for example, apoapsis. which means the highest point of an orbit. And I've seen people refer to that as apple key or K-apoapsis or capoapsis or something like that, just simply by putting a K at the beginning of it. And so on. There are legions of examples of this kind of thing. And personally, I find it actually kind of ridiculous. I don't personally use these K words. I would rather use the correct terms whenever possible, whenever I know them, because it's more sensible. In my opinion, it's easier to communicate what it is you're talking about instead of using what is essentially a made-up term that has little to no reference in reality. Using the correct term without prepending K to the beginning of it, I think it just plain makes more sense. And so, no, I do not use K words in Kerbal Space Program videos, nor do I ever expect to. You know, I will use the words that I know, which are basically proper, ordinary, everyday English words, even if some people think that's boring. Just simply because I think it makes more sense. Speaking of Kerbal Space Program, there is a bit of news looming in the near future, I believe. There is, of course, no set date for this, but it is pretty much becoming commonly accepted that Kerbal Space Program 0.18 will be released soon. And this is a most epic update in that there have been many changes, new additions to the game. For example, there are things like actual docking has been implemented, and this isn't assorted stopgap things such as been done in a number of mods, by the way, that actually were done pretty good given what they were. You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from the mod makers, because mod makers have done amazing things in a lot of ways. But from what I have seen of KSP live streams and most recently review videos by I think it's 10 or 12 YouTubers that have been given advanced copies of 0.18 to do reviews and a little bit of promotion and such for 0.18 and its new features. This docking system is really good. I think it's going to be reasonably easy to use once you get a chance to practice with it a bit. And so on. It's just, oh good grief, have I been going, I've been going south most of this time. Good night. Okay, so much for all the forward progress I thought I was making. Oh, well, get as much in as I can. Anyway, as I try not to walk off the edge of one of these pits, All right. Oh, give me that. Anyway, the docking is really good, and also I've noticed that one of the cool things that's part of that is that once a ship is docked, you can transfer fuel between the two docked ships. And so that is going to make for a lot of potential for space stations, refueling depots, and such like that will make longer missions, longer distance missions, going farther away and so on, or going to more places in one flight. These kind of things will be a lot more possible now. Extended missions to explore the system of moons around the planet Jewel, for example, will be able to be considerably longer, more involved, have more places they're going, have more stops, more landings. Space probes, electrical systems are now implemented. Electrically powered space probe capsules that are unmanned. So it would be possible to launch a ship that carries several such probes, and over the course of a flight, launch those probes from the mothership on missions to explore moons and planets along the way, so that one flight can have many steps along the way. And I think this is really opening up an amazing amount of potential in that game. And oh yes, like everyone else, I assure you, very much anticipating the actual release of 0.18. And I would not be at all surprised if that release were to happen over the weekend even. Mind you, of course, I'm not saying it will be, because obviously I know better than that, because I have no idea when, any more than anyone else does. Oh, good grief. The only way down from here is a long fall. Nuts. Out of my way, sheep. You're impending progress, and I've done enough of that myself. Anyway, so I've been watching all of these review videos and so on that people are making with 0.18. I have to admit, I'm more than a little bit jealous of all these people that have access to 0.18 before the rest of us. But at the same time, I have been completely engrossed in each and every one of those videos because of all the cool stuff they're showing that is in that new version. Like, for example, the maneuver node system that allows you to plan your flights ahead of time. Say you want to take a mission to Duna or Jewel or Eve or Lathe or whatever, and once you get your ship in orbit, you use the maneuver node system to plan the orbit. Basically, with that, you're telling the system, you're planning out theoretical maneuvers, and the system is showing you what your orbit would look like if you were to actually perform such a maneuver that you're planning. And of course, that way, if you like what you see, if that's what you want it to be, then you go for it, and it gives you a target, so to speak, to it shows you what direction that you should point your ship. It tells you when you need to burn. It tells you how much delta V you need to burn in order to achieve your plan, and so on. And even then, it's not, this is, don't make any mistake here, this is not any kind of an autopilot. It is a maneuver planning system that it lets you plan what you're going to do, and it shows you how it can turn out if you do it the way you planned, but it does not in any way, shape, or form do the maneuver for you. That still is going to rely on your own flying skills and so on. And some of us will have better results with that than others. But, well, that's neither here nor there. That's just the way things usually go. Some people fly better than others. I don't usually fly as good as I wish I could myself, so I know how that is. It's sometimes very frustrating, but it's also really still a lot of fun, especially as you practice the maneuvers and you get better at them and find yourself suddenly able to reach the moon or Minmus or another planet or even more. It's really very involved, it's a very emergent thing. It's you get very immersed in it. And that lets you, I think, get a lot more enjoyment out of it. I really like it when things like that are that immersive, kind of the way Minecraft is. You know, Minecraft is very emergent like that. You get very wrapped up in it. You get very focused on what you're doing, and you know, you start up originally, you want to just take care of a few little things at your base or something like that. And next thing you know, it's 4 or 5 hours later, and you're still playing, and you're still tweaking the base, and redecorating this, and rearranging that, or taking time out to go caving, or mining, or whatever, you know. And then more hours pass, and next thing you know, it's wee hours of the morning, and you're wondering why you're so tired. And then you look at the clock and see it's 3 a.m. when you sat down at noon. It happens. It's happened to me more than once. Anyway, Kerbal Space Program, they're also holding an extended live stream event. I believe it's on the 30th, and it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning Central Time. And they're apparently going to have a lot of people on the live stream, a lot of guests and so on. And I, for one, am going to do everything I can to be there to watch as much of that stream as I can. It's going to be like I think it's a 16-hour stream. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch all of it, but like I said, I'm going to catch as much of it as I can, because I want to see as much new 0.18 footage and action as I possibly can. And then, of course, once it's released, I'm going to be just like everybody else. I'm going to be racing to download that sucker just as fast as I possibly can. And in The one thing, though, is that instead of just latching onto it and just setting up to play KSP for 8 or 10 or 12 hours or whatever, I actually very much intend, as soon as I've got the program installed and have confirmed that it's working, I'm going to start recording. And so you'll get to share along with me the adventure and possible frustrations or whatever else where I learn how to do things the 0.18 way. And in the meantime, we're near the close of our second day, so we'll slap the bed down here and do that thing with the workbench, making a couple of more beds. I need to make it a point to gather up some wool tomorrow, and probably should start thinking about cutting some new logs. And let's go ahead and make another boat. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate the comments and questions and such that you give in the comments, talking points and whatnot, because it does help pass the time. In the meanwhile, speaking of time, it is also a good time to stop by tinfoilchef.com/donate to donate to Child's Play Charity. And thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.